Before humans set foot on the sun-scorched plains of ancient Australia, something else ruled the land. Something far more terrifying than lions or bears. Towering reptiles with knife-like teeth, venomous lizards the size of trucks, and crocodiles that sprinted on land like predators from a nightmare. This wasn't just survival of the fittest. It was a prehistoric kill zone where every shadow could be your end. Welcome to the forgotten Australia, where extinction came dripping in. Blood. They say everything's bigger in Texas, but in Australia, everything's deadlier. Today, it's a land where venom flows through fangs and stingers more than just about anywhere else. The most venomous snakes, deadly jellyfish, giant spiders, and even pine cones that can crush a skull. Australia is a continent that practically dares you to survive it. But here's what most people don't realize. Today's Australia is tame, shockingly tame, compared to what it once was. Because if you traveled back just 50,000 years, you'd find yourself in a living nightmare. A time when the outback wasn't just full of dangerous creatures, it was ruled by them. And the apex predators? They weren't lions or bears. They weren't even mammals. They were reptiles. Gigantic, land-roaming, flesh-tearing reptiles. This was the age of Australia's lost monsters. One of the most terrifying among them was the Quinkana, a land-walking crocodilian that looked like something born straight out of a bad dream. But this wasn't some sluggish croc lurking in the water. The Quinkana didn't wait for prey to wander too close. It hunted on land. Its legs were long and powerful, keeping its muscular body high above the dirt and brush. Unlike modern crocodiles, the Quinkana had hoof-like toes and a flattened tail that wasn't meant for swimming, but for stability on land, an adaptation that gave it incredible mobility. Paleontologists believe it may have been capable of short sprints to chase down prey. It's not just speculation. Its fossils, unearthed across Queensland, reveal a creature built not for ambush, but for pursuit. At over 10 feet long and 440 pounds on average, with some specimens possibly reaching 20 feet, this wasn't a croc you could ignore. Its teeth were like something from a raptor's mouth, blade-like, compressed and serrated. Paleontologists call them xiphodont teeth, designed to cut flesh cleanly and efficiently, like prehistoric steak knives. This is the same dental technology we see in theropod dinosaurs like Allosaurus and Giganotosaurus. A single bite could tear through thick hide, muscle, and bone. Even humans who had just arrived on the continent around the same time would have stood little chance. And if you think jumping into the water could save you, think again. Despite its adaptations for land, there's growing evidence the Quinkana could swim as well. There was nowhere to run. But even this terrifying land croc had competition. And its chief rival wasn't another crocodile. It was a lizard. A massive one. Enter the Megalania, or more accurately, Varanus priscus, a true giant among monitor lizards. Though modern scientists have reclassified it, most still call it Megalania, a name that literally means great roamer, and roam it did. This reptilian beast stretched up to 26 feet in length and possibly weighed close to 2 tons, depending on the specimen. Even at conservative estimates, it was bigger than a Komodo dragon by a massive margin. To put that in perspective, the Megalania was as long as the largest anaconda ever recorded, but far heavier, built like a tank with the heart of a predator. Its jaws were lined with long, curved, razor-sharp teeth, perfect for gripping and shredding flesh. And much like its closest living relatives, such as the Komodo dragon, Megalania was likely venomous. All living monitor lizards possess venom glands, and paleontologists believe Megalania had similar capabilities. Its venom didn't kill immediately, it acted more insidiously, preventing blood from clotting, leading to internal bleeding, shock, and infection. The strategy? bite once. Then follow your prey until it collapses. Even if you got away, you were still doomed. Its thick limbs and sharp claws weren't just for walking, they were for grappling, digging into prey, and maybe even climbing. Megalania may have been slow over long distances, but in the burst of an ambush, it was deadly efficient. But the terror didn't end there. While Megalania and Quinkana ruled the land, another giant slithered through the undergrowth and lay, in wait near rivers and waterholes. It was the Wanambi, an enormous constrictor snake unlike anything we see in modern Australia. At around 20 feet long, this prehistoric serpent didn't need venom to kill. It used raw muscle. A member of the now extinct Matsoidae family, Wanambi, had relatively inflexible jaws compared to modern pythons, meaning it couldn't swallow huge prey whole. But that didn't make it less dangerous. It made it worse. Instead of engulfing its prey, the Wanambi would ambush it, constrict it until blood flow stopped, and then tear it apart. Fossils suggest it would rip flesh using sharp, backward-curved teeth and powerful constrictions, disemboweling its prey when necessary. A nightmare wrapped in scales. And lest you think mammals were just innocent bystanders, to all this chaos, think again. Because even among mammals, Australia boasted some of the most formidable predators evolution ever produced. Meet Thylacoleo carnifex, Australia's marsupial lion. But don't let the name fool you. This wasn't a feline, it was a marsupial, more closely related to the modern koala than to any lion. Yet it was no cuddly tree hugger. Thylacoleo was power incarnate. It was about the size of a big cat, with the strongest bite, pound for pound, of any known mammal, living or extinct. Its skull structure allowed for enormous jaw muscles and a bite force estimated to be over 1,000 pounds. That's enough to crush bones with ease. Its front teeth were modified into huge incisors, almost like knives, while its premolars acted like shearing blades. With one bite, it could sever a spinal cord, rupture arteries, and drop a victim in seconds. And just in case that wasn't enough, it had massive retractable claws and semi-opposable thumbs, perfect for grabbing, holding, and tearing apart its prey. Some scientists believe it may have dragged kills up into trees like modern leopards. A grisly sight to imagine in the Australian outback. And the herbivores? They weren't gentle giants either. Take the Diprotodon, a distant relative of the wombat and the largest known marsupial to ever live. Imagine a wombat the size of an Asian elephant, over 3.8 tons of brute force, with jaws that could crush vegetation and an estimated bite force capable of snapping human bones. Diprotodon wasn't interested in hunting, but it also wasn't the kind of animal you'd want to surprise or provoke. Then there were the giant birds, towering, flightless, and armored like walking tanks. Though not covered in detail here, species like Genyornis newtoni roamed these lands as well, imposing, dangerous, and fast. Australia wasn't just the land of predators. It was an entire ecosystem of oversized, overpowered creatures, each uniquely adapted to survive in a brutal environment. And then, humans arrived. Roughly 50,000 years ago, the first humans stepped foot on Australian soil, right at the peak of this prehistoric chaos. Can you imagine that? A group of nomadic hunter-gatherers landing on a foreign continent, only to be greeted by land crocs, venomous lizards the size of vans, and lions with thumbs. It was a survival test like no other, and somehow they endured. But not everything survived. Whether due to changing climates, human hunting, or a combination of both, the age of giants came to a close. One by one, the titans vanished, and what was left behind was the Australia we know today, still dangerous, still wild, but a shadow of its ancient self. So the next time you hear about a deadly spider or a venomous jellyfish in modern day Australia, just remember, it used to be worse, much worse. And in the fossil beds scattered across the outback, their bones still whisper tales of a time when reptiles ruled the land. And every step could be your last. If you enjoyed this journey into Australia's prehistoric kill zone, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Extinct World. Join us as we continue to uncover the monsters, mysteries, and marvels of Earth's forgotten past, because the more we dig, the more incredible the story becomes.